Hey guys, it's me, Phoenix Labs here, and today I'm bringing you a 1/32nd scale kinetic model kit's F-86 Sabre. This is specifically the F-30 variant, which is the kind of the mid-production Sabre variant with the upgraded wing, but it lacks the leading edge slats that were originally seen on the 8.5. This kit is pretty cool. Not sure when the original tooling is from, but I believe it's from the early 2000s. First, we start off with the instructions. My kit, because I got on eBay, came with a few different decal options. These ones are not going to be available with the kit, so these guys and this upgrade kit, as well as these resin parts, are not going to be available. These are just specific to my own personal order of this aircraft. So, once we were past the instructions, we first start off with these giant pieces of the fuselage, each cut up into 4 different parts, presumably so that way you can fit the engine and have the ability to remove the latter half of the fuselage, so that way you have access to the engine. These parts are beautifully detailed, and if we open up, let's get a look inside. So here we can see that beautiful, beautiful full focus. Yeah, if I put my hand there, that works. You can see that beautiful rivet detailing. This is something that I find lacks on a lot of Sabre models, and it was kind of one of the deciding factors for me to get this one. The rivets are nicely detailed, and it might just be me, but the plastic seems ever so slightly distressed in a way that if you think of the real-life aircraft, these rivets would distress the aluminum skin, so they wouldn't be 100% like perfectly even. So this effect is very slight, so if you're thinking that you don't want that on your model, then, well, people are not going to notice it. So here's the first halves, and here is the latter half of the fuselage. Here we can see some rather light detailing of the interior of the air brakes. Definitely nice to see that instead of absolutely nothing, but something tells me that this isn't like the best detailing you can have, so maybe you might want to replace that with a resin part, but for most modelers, that's completely adequate. And once again, we can see that beautiful, beautiful rivets, especially if we look where the light is reflecting. Here we have the upgraded tail. I always thought that the tail, or I guess the part where the tail connects to the fuselage, always looked really interesting on the Sabres, so it's really nice to see that recreated. Next here, we seem to have a ordnance bag consisting of what looks like drop tanks, potentially bombs up here, some AIM-9Bs if you're doing the later Sabres. I believe the F-40s were equipped with the AIM-9Bs. And here we can see the M3 Brownings, not M2s, because by this point aircraft were equipped with the M3s, which were just like the M2 Browning 50 cals, but they had a faster rate of fire. These guys are also decently detailed. The barrels look beautiful, but the actual I'm not sure how exactly you would describe this part, but the entire part itself is a little lackluster in detail, so maybe if you have like a few tank kits in 1/32nd scale. Actually, I think they're on 1/35th, so they probably won't fit this, but yeah, no, the barrels look nice. The rest is kind of meh, but perfectly adequate if you want to display the guns, which this is an option to have the guns displayed in a fashion in which they're getting reloaded, which is nice. Here we can see a pylon and some drop tanks. These are probably actual bombs, and some nice 1/32 scale AIM-9Bs, which if you're doing the F-40 variant, which the F-40 I think had the upgraded slats, then you can also have the missiles. But this is an F-30, so we're not going to be seeing those. Here we have what seems to be the cockpit as well as landing gear. That out of its, pull that out of its bag. Fortunately, a lot of these bags don't like to open nicely, so you kind of have to tear them apart, which is a little annoying because I like to, if I'm reboxing kits, I like to have the plastic so the parts are nice and protected. But yeah, here we see the, we have a control panel here, so presumably this goes on the inside of the aircraft, and this is going to be the bay in which you'll put those 50 cals, so you can display the ammunition doors open. So that's pretty cool. Some rims for the wheels. Some smooth parts. I'm gonna guess that those parts are for the air intake. Ejection seat parts as well as landing gear. The other half of the fuselage. Back of the cockpit and the seat itself, which overall, parts are nicely detailed. Can definitely go without any resin parts with this kit so far. So that's pretty great. Here is what seems to be another armament sprue. So it's just like the one that we had earlier. Here we have the clear sprue, which we can see the nice large canopy. Do I have a knife here? Yes. I'm gonna use a knife here because so we can get a nice clean cut. If I can. There we go. So we have the clear sprue. Crystal clear. Absolutely beautiful. You can see absolutely everything through it. And we even have some interior details for whatever that part's supposed to be. But yeah, no, that's nice and clear. We also seem to have the instrument panel here, so that's pretty interesting. I'm guessing that we'll have a decal that we'll put on this flat piece, and then we'll put this piece over it. So it's pretty interesting. And I believe this part is for the gun sight, and these are for landing lights. Gonna actually put this one back into plastic already. All right. So. Okay, let's do this one. This one is almost purely air intake. Here we can see it. Air intake seems to be a part of the front landing gear bay. But it looks like it does go all the way back to the engine, which we can see all these parts are different engine parts. So probably going to have to assemble some of it, even if you're not going to have the engine on display. And this seems to be... Actually, I think this is the front landing gear, and this is like where the cockpit sits. So yeah, this is all nicely detailed. And for most modelers, we are pretty happy to have an engine. Even if you're not displaying it, it's always cool to have the kit. Always worth going the extra mile. Here we have, I'm gonna presume these are the interior of the fuselage. So frames. Another instrument panel, and these are going to be either landing gear doors or air brakes, and the insides of these are once again really nicely molded, very high detailed. More landing gear, and then the flaps and rear wings. So these are nicely detailed. Absolutely magnificent. Yeah, these are definitely the air brakes, and once again we can see those got those rivet details, and I think these parts are a part of the canopy. Nice. This part's definitely the rear half of the jet engine. So the jet engine here will sit here, and this will be the tailpipe. Not sure what all of this is for, but presumably there's going to be a frame for the rear half of the fuselage to sit on if you choose to have that removable, so you can see the engine. And then finally, we got these nice giant wings, which can't even get all of it in frame. Interior landing gear, and we can already see that it's got some nice, magnificent, we open this up. Some nice, beautiful rivet detailing. That is immaculate. I am so excited for this kit. Oh, that is beautiful. And at 1/32 scale, it's gonna look really nice in end scale. I know some people don't like the rivet detail because they think it looks out of scale, but in such a large scale, I feel like this is perfect. Let's kind of get close on that. Oh, that is so nice. And you can do some really nice thin layers of paint because I believe the paint options are all silver, so obviously you're going to use different shades of silver, but outside of a base coat, you're probably only going to be using 2, 3 if you're using a varnish, which I would definitely suggest if you're weathering. Here we have the decals. These seem to be like vacuum sealed, or at the very least they're starting to connect with the plastic, which is a little concerning. It is a bit of an older kit, so hopefully when I go to build a kit, those things do not disintegrate. If they do disintegrate, then I'm probably gonna cry. But yeah, here we have the nice giant yellow markings with the checker tail for Korean War F-86s. Here we have Mike's bird, which is a pretty cool little cartoon character. Beautiful, Beauticious Butch, which I'm guessing those two are going to be two different aircraft. Some tail frames, the insignia, some smoke clouds, and some stencils. And here we have the rest of the stencils, which this is actually surprisingly light on the stencils, which is actually a bit of a... It's definitely nice to know that, because stencils can be pretty nightmarish if you're doing a silver aircraft, because they're usually just absolutely covered. So, now out of the way, we can now go back to the F-86 F-30 Sabre instruction manual. Here we have it in Japanese, and presumably one of these is Chinese, but this is all, I only know like basic Japanese, so I don't understand all that. Here we have our paint options for Mr. Color. They actually have quite a few suggestions, but fortunately I think most of these are for the interior of the aircraft. Nice part list, and starting off we have the air intake, and we have the option for the either the clear instrument panel, or we can have the non-clear one that we saw, and I'm guessing we just lay the decal over the non-clear one while this one gets sandwiched. Of course, I ended up receiving a rather interesting upgrade kit for the instrument panel, so whether or not I use that one or the one that came with the kit, I'll have to find out. Here we got the 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 instruction seat, the injection seat, or what I assume to be an injection seat. I think some F-86s had them, others didn't. And the start of the cockpit where we have the pedals and the joystick and some rails. So this is definitely a ejection seat. And then we have the consoles, as I pointed out earlier, the ones that both served as the cockpit and also housed those 50 cals. Here we have the assembly and also the assembly of the engine, which the engine seems to be a really simple assembly, so not really much to really put it together. And here we have the full assembly of the fuselage. Seems that we make a lot of progress in this kit, not a lot of parts. Or there's definitely a lot of parts, but not a lot of steps because we're only on page 3 and we have page 3 and we already have the fuselage assembled and just about to have the wing. It does seem that the latter half of the fuselage is painted a different color. I'm going to assume that that's going to be some sort of like green color. We also have notations for how to paint the interior of the air brakes. Here we have the wings. Those flaps definitely look posable, so that's really nice. And here we have the tail assembly as well as putting the wings on as well as the air inlet. And really nice and simple. Seems like we also have the option to have covers, which is once again very nice. And I'm sure, I mean, I think there's another 1/32 scale F-86 out there, but I think that's Hasegawa. But it's nice to have a cover option for modelers, as well as the engine, and also having the, as we see here, the gun bay open. I'm sure that's all nice things to see in such a large scale, because resin companies are unlikely to really get to an aircraft like this in such a scale within a reasonable amount of time. Here we got the landing gear assembly, landing gear doors, final nicks and knacks, a plate for the cockpit, as well as air brakes, canopy assembly, which does seem to have a part that goes into the canopy itself, though I'm sure that if you're going to be building the canopy closed, you want to have that open. And also for once, having the canopy open isn't all that necessary because, as you saw earlier, the canopy is massive and really clear. So you're going to be able to see like all kinds of things in that cockpit, which is really nice. And then finally, we end off with, or presumably finally, we end off with some fuel tanks. Oh yeah, here's that frame that holds up the rear half of the fuselage if you choose not to glue it together. This is what I was talking about, where the engine's right there and the tailpipe just glides on through. And the rear half just sits on that frame we build here. Here we have the instruction sheet for the paint schemes. These are not in color, which, I mean, it's not really necessary since these are both silver aircraft, but it's always nice to see the colors. First one is 512910, which is Beauticious Butch. And I believe this is the one we see on the cover of the aircraft. If we go here, yeah. So we can see what it looks like on the box art in color. This one's really simple. Beauticious Butch. Seems like it has a lot of kills, so that's really cool. And this one's really simple. This is the one that has the more complicated cartoon on it. And it also has a different, I guess, nose colors, whatever you want to call it, nose markings. And tail markings are also slightly different on these two. Honestly, I mean, I don't know. I like both of these, but I like the blue nose on this one, but the cartoons are also really cool with the second paint scheme option. So, so yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And then finally we have the Stutzel markings, which are pretty lax. And also because it's such a large scale, these ones are all nice and easy to slap on, so. Yeah, no, so stay tuned for when I build this kit, because I'll probably leave a little miniature review on it at the end of the actual build. And, ooh, what's this? Ah, okay, I almost missed this. This thing comes with a giant chunk of steel to weigh down the nose, which is nice and weighty. So, that's crazy. So yeah, no, this is just, presumably this is just gonna sit in the nose of the aircraft nice and snug, and it's got some great weight to it. Normally I just do the steel BB route with my weights. Just buy these guys. They're, I think they're like a little over a gram each. And it would be nice if they would close, but yeah, no, these things are really nice. But it's always even better when the kit comes with a nice weight with it. I've noticed Tamiya, and there's another company that comes with weights, but can't think of them right now. Tamiya comes with weights, and they come in these nice little balls, and they're always nice to see. It's always really nice when model manufacturers make it convenient for the modeler, you know, including things like paint masks and weights like these. It's always nice to see. But yeah, no, you'll get my final review on the actual build of this kit, but looking at it, there was zero flash. None of the parts seem to be poorly molded. Detail looks immaculate from the exterior. Interior parts are a little lacking, not gonna lie, but they are still pretty perfect for all modelers. I mean, I'm sure even the most skilled ones wouldn't bat an eye on keeping the interior detail. But yeah, no, I'm sure this is gonna be a great kit. The only issue is that this one is really expensive. I was very fortunate to get this one at a extreme discount because this guy was trying to get rid of his, presumably, and he had it for decent price on, I say decent price, a good price for what it was, but still decently expensive on eBay. That's how I got all these extra little tidbits, which I thought about doing these paint schemes, but I definitely want to do the Korean War F-86s, and now I just kind of have to figure out what I'm going to do with these two, because unless I buy a Heisei Gala kit, I'm doubtful I'm going to anytime soon buy another one of these kinetic kits for how expensive they are. Alright, so that's my final thoughts on this little kit preview. And this is Phoenix Labs signing out. Thanks for watching my video.